So now we're going to look at the drawbacks of dieting, which you guys already know. Okay, you guys already know this. Okay, so there's different determinants of weight. There's genetics, there's diseases and drugs, and there's our environment. So there's always this great discussion about the cause of the increase of weight that happened in the 1980s and 1990s. There's a general consensus that all three of these factors played a role in determining weight. However, since we can't do much about genetics, diseases, and drugs, the finger gets pointed at environment, specifically calories consumed and calories burned. That's where this calories in versus calories out comes from. So we're making some assumptions here. However, it's much more complex than that. When people go on a diet to try to lose weight, their body actually has physiologic mechanisms to fight back in order to survive starvation or famine. So this is why the tagline for this course is work with your body instead of against it. Okay? So when we cut back our calories and we increase our movement, our body's going, wait a second, I can't do this. It's kind of like going for a trip across country and filling the tank of your car halfway, but expecting it to go the distance. It's not going to happen. It's eventually going to stall. Guess what? Guess what your body does when you do not give it enough calories? It stalls. This is where fatigue comes in. This is where you don't want to clean your house anymore. You don't want to do anything but sit around and watch TV. You don't have the energy. It's because you don't have calories coming in. So we're going to get this changed. While weight may come off when an individual starts dieting, weight is almost always regained over time. Here's another book title for you to write down. This is Lessons. I always get this wrong. That's why I'm thinking. I'm going to tell you it's Lessons from the Food Lab, but I'm feeling like it's not Lessons from Secrets. It's that. Secrets from the Food Lab. And in this book, they talk about the fact that when we go on a diet and we lose weight and we get down to our quote unquote goal weight, we must maintain that weight for 6 years or longer before we can say that that diet worked. 6 years. Ever heard that number before? Because I haven't. Okay. 95% of people who go on a diet today will lose weight and then regain it. 95%. It's a 95% failure rate. And yet, how many people will start Monday on a new diet? We all know what the definition of insanity is, right? So let's get off the cycle. We're going to break it. All right. Every time I go on a diet, I lose my mind. Unfortunately, it doesn't weigh very much. We all understand this too, don't we? Okay. It's absolutely insane, the mind games that start to happen. Like I said, you give yourself that list of foods. Nope, I'm not going to eat these anymore. And you post them somewhere so everybody knows you can't have these foods. Help me stay away from them. And that terrible 2-year-old comes out in your mind and says, you want to bet? And at every turn, every single turn, you have that craving, until you finally can't fight it anymore. And you give up and you binge. And then you become depressed. We just go into this cycle. We want to get out of it. So what are the diets that you have heard of? I'm sure that you guys are going to be familiar with probably all of these, okay? So we have Atkins, Hampton's Diet, South Beach, Biggest Loser Club, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, Skinny, I'm not going to say that one, Skinny Witch, the Paleo Diet, the Ultimate Tea Diet, Nutrisystem, Green Tea Fat Burner, Nutrislim, Slim Fast Optima, Acai Berry, okay, the Italian diet, right? And Ally, and everything else that's out there, okay? Trim Healthy Mama. I know, people are saying, but Angie, it's a lifestyle change. No, it's not. Okay? Any book that gives you food lists and gives you rules, that right there is a diet. And I don't do diets anymore. So let's look at what dieting means. This is very important. When we talk about dieting, we aren't just talking about the fad diets out there. The term dieting refers to any time an individual watches what they eat to lose weight. Have you ever said that? You're at a barbecue, someone offers you a piece of cake. Oh no, that's okay. I'm watching what I eat. You are on a diet. And they'll ask you, oh, are you on a diet? And you'll say, no, I'm just watching what I eat. You're on a diet. Some people even use the term lifestyle change. Ladies, intuitive eating is the only lifestyle change, okay? It's going to help you get rid of everything that you've been doing with confidence, because you're going to know this isn't how a naturally thin person lives, all right? Even when the term dieting is replaced with lifestyle changes, it may still be a diet. Understand that. Again, look for rules. If there's rules, if someone tells you, oh, this is a lifestyle change and you can't have, and they list that off, it's a diet. So in this presentation, we're using the term dieting when we talk about any person who's trying to lose weight, no matter the method. All right. So this isn't for losing weight. Weight loss will happen. Okay. But that's not your primary goal. Your primary goal with this is wellness. All right. So the dieting industry is a booming business. $61 billion a year is what we pipe in to this business. And it's time to save some money.
Hi, I'm Evelyn Tribbley. Did you know that dieting can actually cause you to gain more weight, become obsessed with food, and increase the risk of binge eating? It does! Most people don't know this. I wish there was a public health announcement saying, warning, dieting can hurt your health. Since there is no announcement, I created this video and I hope it really helps you. And the study that really blew me away was published just last year. Looked at twins, 2,000 pairs, 4,000 people, to ask this question: does dieting independent of genetics cause weight gain? Because they were thinking, well, maybe people who go on diets gain more weight in the long run is because they're genetically predisposed. So, fair question. So they followed these twins for about 5 years, and here's what they found, is that dieting independent of genetics was significantly related to weight gain, and it was dose responsive, meaning the more a twin dieted, the more likely they would be weighing even more than their counterpart who didn't diet. Now, isn't that depressing? It's like, yeah, we got to get the word out. And so the researchers even concluded that dieting in part may actually be responsible for the current obesity epidemic. It's creating the problem. Let's take a look at some other issues. It affects kids. Here's what's driving me nuts about this, is there is so much pressure on parents about the war on obesity. And what's a parent to do? And so they're going to do something. They're scared. They don't want their kids to, be obese and have all the health rates that are talked about in all these public health campaigns. And yet there's a lot of research on kids and dieting. And here's what we know. This one study looked at 17,000 kids from the ages of 9 to 14, and here's what they found: that those kids who were dieting were 8 to 12 times more likely to engage in binge eating compared to those who never ever dieted. 17,000 kids. These scientists also said it looks like dieting is a predictor of weight gain. What about teens? This study blew me away because they looked at teens all the way through young adulthood. For 10 years they followed them. They looked at their dieting history, what they did, what happened afterwards, what happened to their weight. Sadly, over half of the girls were dieting and 25% of the boys were dieting. And what they found out is dieting predicted more weight gain and binge eating. So when we look at the kids, we look at the teens, we look at the twins, and now how about the adults? There was a scientific review in which they looked at over 30 studies on dieting and weight loss, dieting, weight loss, dieting, weight gain. You get the idea. And what the researchers found was this, is that dieting predicted weight gain, binge eating, and eating disorders. And I will tell you, eating disorders especially is a very, very scary risk from dieting, especially for teens. A study looked at teens and dieting for over 3 years, and what they found is dieting was the single most predictive factor for developing an eating disorder. So look at all this. You can gain weight, you binge eat, increased risk of eating disorder. Who wants that? We gotta dump the dieting. It's not working. It'd be one thing if it was a pain in the patootie, but you felt better or you were healthier. But that's not what the research is showing. We got to do it differently. But what about you? You know, most patients that I work with will describe their first diet almost like a first love. It's a seduction. Weight comes off easily, effortlessly, and every diet thereafter, you keep wondering, why is it so hard to stay on the diet? Why is it that not only are you gaining the weight back, but you're ratcheting more and more and more? You might find that you're more preoccupied with food. You try to have more rules around eating. And what's so important to realize, this is not you. It is the process of dieting that creates this problem, and it is very hazardous to your health and your mind.
Diets don't work. Okay, we know that. If diets worked, then Americans would be spending less money on dieting over time because it would actually be working. So in 2012, researchers at UCLA compiled the 20 best and longest weight loss studies and researched the changes in weight that occurred in these studies. Each of the 20 studies is represented on this graph by an open or closed circle. The closed circles represent studies with minimal dropout. Participants mostly stayed in the study for a long time. The open circles represent studies with significant dropout, so more than 20% of participants dropped out of the study. The circle size reflects how many subjects were in the study. So small circles mean small sample size, and large circles mean larger sample size. As you can see from this graph, in the shorter studies that only lasted 2 to 3 years, subjects typically lose between 0 and 5 kilograms, or up to 10 pounds. And the longer the study, the less likely the subjects keep the weight off. You can see the dots on the far right had significant dropout rates, and participants were able to keep the weight off at 8 to 10 years. Not only do diets not work, they also have many harmful side effects. So we have weight cycling, which I mentioned before. This is the yo-yo dieting. You lose weight, you regain it, and then some. You have weight cycling. The increased risk of osteoporosis, increased chronic physiological stress and cortisol production, increased anxiety about weight, eating disorder behaviors, weight gain, stigmatism, and discrimination against fat individuals. Okay, so ethics of weight-based approaches. If diets don't work and yo-yo dieting is associated with negative health, then should we be encouraging people to lose weight? Is it ethical? Okay, another comic strip here. I can't change my height. I can't change my eye color. I can't change the size of my feet. What makes you think I can change my weight? Isn't that how we feel? That's how I feel all the time.